Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our badass guest is Clint Bruce, aka Silverback. He served 7 years. He served 7 years as a Navy SEAL, exiting service as a lieutenant. He founded TRG in 2006 in Dallas, Texas. You can follow Clint on social media handles to follow the show. To learn more about TRG, go check out thetrg.co. Brother, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? How are you?
Man, I'm super good. I want to, for the listeners, I want to give some connective tissue here. So when I got out in 2010, I actually was supposed to take a job in a different area and ended up getting introduced to Clint. And I was like, what do you got? What do you want me to do for you? And he says, I want you to build our training department. I'm like, hey, cool. And so move in, start working with Clint. And the coolest thing about you, and I will say this to the day I die, is when you get out, it's hard to transition. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know any people out in Dallas. And not only did you welcome me into your company, but you also opened your entire Rolodex up to see me succeed and grow without anything in return. And that is so important. That is so humongous. So I don't think I've ever said it face to face, but thank you.
You're welcome, man. And I'll correct our one conversation. Our one conversation is like, you'll be amazed how far you can go without knowing anything about business. And when you said, what do we do? I was like, I don't know. I'm just kind of making it up. Let's figure it out together. Right. So that's kind of the MO, man. I tell people, like, I need to be around people who get what I don't know how to say. I know and I want to learn from the best business leaders in America. So I got to figure out what I know how to do for them today so I can learn from them what I want to do tomorrow. And that's just kind of the system. And just building businesses allow me to provide for them what I already know how to do. Well, I figure out what I want to do next, and inviting guys like you into that, and because the currency and capability and experience you guys have that I don't. It's a pretty simple system, man. And it's a lot of fun to be around people that you already know something about while you're learning about what to do next.
Man, I hear it. Well, you have done all kinds of stuff entrepreneurial since you've gotten out of the service. So walk us through getting out of the service and founding all these companies.
This kind of Forrest Gump in kind of thing. Everybody's kind of like, what's your plan? I'm like, plan? It's kind of like, no, man, it is the way I kind of describe things now is for me, there's kind of four maps that matter most. And I think in terms of maps, and I don't know about you, but I get this question all the time. People go like, hey, what's your favorite gun? And I go, are you asking me what my favorite gun is or what my favorite weapon is? And they go, it's the same thing. I'm like, it's not the same thing at all. I'm like, a gun is a tool. A weapon is what I use to win. I said, and my favorite weapon is a map. Because if I got a map, I got everything. I know what weapons work, what weapons won't. I know where you'll hide. I know where I'll come in. So for me, the weapon, the map is kind of everything. And so for me, as I kind of look at my life, where I've been, where I am, where I want to go, there's kind of four maps that matter. There's the ball field, the battlefield, the boardroom, and the breakfast table. And for seasons of my life, the ball field and the battlefield, those are literal places, right? Like the ball field, playing football in high school and college and the NFL briefly, and the battlefield, having been there, not as much as most. Certainly not as much as you and many of the guys that we know, but it was a season of my life. So for me now, the ball field and the battlefield, the battlefield is take care of myself mentally and physically. It's the ball field. The battlefield is protect Amy, the girls, and those have been entrusted to me. The boredom is provide for my family, and those have been entrusted to me. And the breakfast table is be part of a family that loves me and that matters to others, right? So I look at life with these maps that and they're overlapping. It's like four-dimensional chess. And so for me, when you got a map, the worst you'll ever be is wrong, but you'll never be lost. And there's a big difference between being wrong and lost. And I've been both. I've been wrong and lost. I mean, I was an officer. Like, we're not famous for land nav. I've been lost, right? And I hate them both, but I'll take wrong over lost any day. Because when you're wrong's just a matter of, hey, where am I? Where do I got to go? How do I get from where I am to where I got to go? And if you have time, you figure out how you got to where you are, right? But when you're lost, any move can be wrong. And what I've always been really good at is, once I figure out I'm wrong, figuring out where I got to be next. And that's just just kind of something I've always been around really honest people. And I watch them be honest with themselves, and I watch them be really honest with me. And the currency of the ball field and the battlefield is really fast. When you're wrong, you find out really quickly. And so coming onto the boardroom, I just maintain that currency. and trying things when I got out and figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like, what I was good at, what I wasn't good at, and finding out a couple things I was good at, and finding out who I wanted to work hard for and figuring out what I knew how to do that they needed, and then watching what they wanted me to do, and then looking at this landscape of people coming off the ball field and the battlefield like you were better at it than I was, and just creating a system of this self-replenishing pipeline of protect, perform, compete, and recover, right? And that's really what we distribute here at this facility that we call the high ground. Is how do we bring the best from the ball field and the battlefield to the board and the breakfast table by bringing men and women off the ball field and the battlefield and distributing what they already know how to do from a protect, perform, compete, and recover perspective into the boardroom for the benefit of the breakfast table as they figure out what they want to do next. And you were kind of one of the earliest iterations of that, and guys like you and Abner, who's back now, and Rabbit and some of the other guys, and so we have TRG, which is obviously the protect piece, and then hold fast, which is the perform. Like, hey, what are the neck up performance attributes that you learn on the ball field and the battlefield that can immediately be dropped into the boardroom and make a difference? Most of fighting, you know this, the majority of fighting is thinking, and if you can think, you can do business, right? And just understanding how to take those thinking skills and putting on the boardroom map. That's why I love the concept of the high ground. And what I tell guys is like, hey, you think you miss the battlefield, and certainly you do. There's elements of the battlefield are irreplaceable, and you can't repeat them. You can't find them anywhere else. But a lot of what we miss is the high ground. We miss this high, hard place. And what we know about the high ground is it's hard to get to and it's harder to stay at. And the intangible it takes to get to the high ground is common on most of these maps. So what you found, and it's something I watched you enjoy, is the people in the boardroom that get to the high ground, there's a lot of the intangibles they have are what we had on the ball field and the battlefield. So you have more in common with people on the high ground of the boardroom than you thought you would. And so then you don't feel as alone as you thought you did. And you don't have some shared experiences, but you have some shared ethos and some shared core values. And most of life is like just trying not to feel so dang alone all the time, right? And in my experience, most of the time when you're alone, that's a choice. You're making a conscious decision to just not find anything in common with the people around you. And, I'm just not a fan of that. I've not found a lot of value in being alone.
Well, I'll tell you what, I could listen to you all day because you have such an incredible way of delivering a message to where people like me who have an IQ lower than a chimpanzee can understand.
I'm just old. I'm old. I've tried all the other ways to say things.
You're not old.
And I've got these super harsh critic daughters where they're just like, nah, that doesn't make sense, Dad. Like, dude, say something different, right?
I know that.
Say that, but differently. Yeah, you've been around and you watched them grow up,
So walk me through, what is TRG? Why did you start it? What do you do?
Yeah, so TRG functions very much like a third-party director of global security for institutional families and organizations. So really the reality is today is every organization needs a director of global security, someone who maintains and manages the risk terrain, the map. I mean, the reality of the world today is if you're a publicly traded company or a company that has capital partnership shareholders, like you need to be able to point to someone and go, that's the person who's maintaining awareness of the risk terrain for us right now. And some companies invest in a particular person that does that for them. But a lot of times companies very similar to a third party, a fractional CFO, a fractional executive landscape. We'll do that for a lot of companies. We'll be the fractional director of global security because a lot of people don't need the full weight of a sitting director of global security, right? So a lot of times we function as a directorate of global security in a lot of ways. And also with our facility here in Dallas, we perform a lot of the training functions and the audit services of an organic security team. So we'll maintain currency and make sure that a company's security team is current. Because that's why in our organizations, a lot of times we have a dedicated training cell. Because if you're doing the work, you're not always staying current, because staying current almost takes sometimes full-time attention, right? And if you're doing the work, you're not paying attention to staying current. Like there's an ability to stay current when you're overseas doing the work sometimes, but the world is big. And so you're current as it relates to AO you're working in. But so, and then a lot of times we're elevating people's readiness. We have this whole concept here called radiology. It's just kind of the pursuit of individual and collective readiness. You know, you put the word ology on the end of anything, and it's the study of it. And you know me, being from Arkansas, I'll make up a word in a heartbeat, right? You've seen it a million times. Words and acronyms.
Facts.
I'll just create it on the spot, right? And you know what we say, and this a lot of this I kind of built for my daughters, right? I want to give my daughters all my skills, but none of my scars, and I want to train them without traumatizing them. So what I told them is like, hey, girls, there's only 4 things you need to know when and how to do. You know when and how to get out, protect, treat, and shelter. Hey, those are always your options. And knowing when to get out, protect, treat, and shelter, that's knowledge. And how to get out, protect, treat, and shelter, that's skill. And so the Ready Lab, which is on site here, is just a place where we help, you know, families and businesses discover what ready looks and feels like for them and how to get there and how to maintain it. So, and what for me is really exciting is who powers that is guys like you who come out and, you know, you get out of the service on Friday, on Monday, you are a subject matter expert and one of the premier providers in the world of this level of training for, you know, the Bible says Proverbs 22:29, Proverbs 22:29, you see a man excellent in his work, and let's speak for small men, let's speak for kings. And so to come off the high ground on the battlefield and step into the high ground on the boardroom, because you're already one of the best in the world at doing this. You know, the CEO of a Fortune 100 company is intimidating until you're in the shoot house. And then once you're in the shoot house, that CEO is like, hey, dude, what do we do? And you're like, I got you. And all of a sudden there's this equilibrium that sets in. And you just kind of realize that he's just a dude or she's just a lady that's doing the best they can where they are, what they have. And when you realize that they're just a person and they realize that you're just a person, then you start realizing that you fit on this map. And they realize that, hey, if I ever, in the unlikely scenario that I found myself on the battlefield of my own home, I might be able to do it. And I watched you enjoy that. I watched you enjoy that when you'd see someone go from terrified at the concept of having to defend themselves in their home to not enthusiastic and not even maybe confident, but not terrified. Man, that's a tremendous level of satisfaction when you watch someone not be afraid, right? And then, you know, one of the things you've heard me say before is I want to win the war on veteran suicide with daily wins and a good day's work. So what are daily wins? Daily wins are add value to the kind of person you want to be around and learn from with what you already know how to do. And a good day's work is provide for yourself by providing value to the kind of person you want to be around and learn from with what you already know how to do. So it's not that, I mean, you know, with me, it's going to be pretty simple. So that's it. And rinse, lather, repeat, just do it over and over again. I had this really great coach. I had this really great coach one time that told me that he goes, Clint, football's a real simple game made hard by coaches. I was like, yeah, you know, find the guy with the ball, hit the guy with the ball, repeat, find the guy with the ball, hit the guy with the ball. I was like, oh, all right. So yeah, so that's what TRG does. Hold fast. You know, you were coming around right during the emergence of Hold Fast when I was getting asked to go and speak for companies. And I remember with you just saying, putting you in a position where I remember you showed up. He's like, what am I doing today? I'm like, you're going to go speak for a major international bank. You're like, what? I'm like, yeah, just answer questions. You're fine.
Let me stop you right there real quick. And we got to share a little bit more in depth about this one because this one's good. All right. So I'll say we had the date wrong. And I remember getting to the office and
we had a month right. We were right from a month perspective. We were even right on the week perspective, but yes, we were wrong on the day.
I know that you were a fast guy, but I've never seen you move so fast. And you're like, we got to go now. And I'm like, what do you mean now? I don't have a suit. And you and I went shopping together.
I totally forgot about that. I forgot about the suit.
Two guys who don't know how to dress like in nice stuff, and we're shopping together.
We're at Men's Warehouse. I was like, hey, I appreciate you want to sell cufflinks. We got a bigger problem to solve right here. Put him in a suit.
And then I forgot about it. Yeah, and then we ran up on stage, and I remember you turning to me because we were sitting there on stage, and you're like, "What are your thoughts?" And I'm like, I have no idea.
But we pulled it off, man. We pulled it off.
Yeah.
Hey, you just got to believe, you got to know a little more than the people listening to you. That's kind of the secret about that.
Well, so since then you Hold Fast, so it's exploded. You know?
Yeah, Hold Fast has been fun, man. It's been fun. And Hold Fast for me, you know, again, it's what I said earlier is provide value to the kind of person you want to be around and learn from what you already know how to do. And what I try to do is build companies that allow veterans to transition more effectively with their hard skills, soft skills, and experiences. And in my experience, guys and gals, but guys are mostly who I work with, they're really confident in their hard skills. But the reality is you can't build those hard skills without the soft skills. And this marriage of hard skills and soft skills produce incredible experiences. And so a lot of times with a Ready Lab, we start out with the hard skills as the leading value proposition. But pretty soon guys realize that their soft skills is the real value proposition. You know, soft skills kind of power the opportunity to transition to any one of the maps, right? And then because that's really, you hear a CEO goes, when the CEO goes, hey, thanks for telling me how to shoot. Oh, by the way, man, you're really smart. And sometimes, listen, we all go to the military for a lot of different reasons, but I think most of us who end up in the a lot of us, I don't want to say most, a lot of us end up in the special operations community because we're trying to prove someone wrong. And the list of people who told me I wasn't, or I couldn't, or I'm not is not insignificant, right? And so sometimes the first time we believe we're smart, or we can be a good student, or we can learn things, or when we're in breacher class, or when we're learning something where you just can't be wrong, or you're at sniper school, or you're doing Halo or something like that. And these are complex, chemical equations, right? And we're like, man, maybe I'm not dumb, right? And all of a sudden you realize you get on the high ground on the battlefield, and all of a sudden you come to the boardroom and you have a brilliant CEO tell you you're smart again, and it starts making you go like, man, maybe I can perform at a high level in the boardroom as well. And so it's fun to watch guys discover that. And so Hold Fast is one of those ones where you get to show a lot of times the audiences realize the supreme intellect of veterans almost at the same time that the veterans realizing their intellect and their ability to distill lessons from the battlefield into actionable, exportable TTPs that are relevant on the boardroom and the breakfast table, because that's where we are now. I mean, the map we're on now is the boardroom and the breakfast table. And if someone breaks into our house, hey, we're back on the battlefield, and most of us can regress to that savage version of ourselves pretty quickly. But the majority of our time is spent on the boardroom and the breakfast table now. And it's fun to watch people realize how much the ball field and the battlefield prepared them for excellence on the boardroom and the breakfast table. And speaking in executive environment it's really fun because, a lot of times when I'd debrief you guys after you talked, it's like y'all would sit there and be like, man, did I do well? I'm like, well, they're still standing, and it's not like they're leaving to go to the bathroom. Like, they're standing just because you did a good job, right? And sometimes I would even have to play back for y'all's. So many times it was like, even for myself when I first started doing it, it's like that scene in Old School. Will Ferrell's like, oh, I got this. The Industrial Revolution. It's like, oh, what happened? That's how you debate. That's how you debate, right? It's awesome watching guys realize how smart they are. Because fear can make you feel dumb sometimes, but you can't perform at the level I watched so many of you perform at on the battlefield and be done. Can't happen. Doesn't work. You can't make it that far. You certainly can't stay there. And so it's fun to watch guys realize just how capable they are of getting on a high ground, regardless of what map they're on. And then when y'all start building your families, man, it's just the coolest thing ever for me.
That's the
Because
hardest.
my professional goal, well, it's the least margin, like, is the one you want to fail at least, right? Because you've heard this for almost a decade now. Like, my goal is to be the most sought after Santa Claus, and when I turn 60, I'm gonna be the most sought after Santa Claus in America. But this dude at North Park Mall, man, he is not flinching at all. Like, he is not. I walked in there the other day and he looked at me like I was a chump. I can only imagine it was like if I walked in a locker room in 1970s with Dick Buckus, and I walked in and looked at him, like how Dick Buckus would have looked at me as a linebacker is how that North Park Santa Claus looks at me. Like, he's not scared, and it's super intimidating.
I thought I had lofty goals. That right there takes the cake, bro.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, man. There's a whole it's like a kumite to be the Macy's Day Parade Santa Claus. I don't want to get into it. I probably shouldn't even said this much.
Well, it's out there now. I can't wait for people to
Yeah.
start
Oh,
chiming
great.
in.
I probably just blew my whole chances now, right? So yeah, Hold Fast provides veteran speakers to business environments, and it's really fun. And then Windage. Windage is a new one I haven't told you about. Like, Windage for me, I was getting asked to help like a lot of technology companies out in Silicon Valley, debut technology in the strength and conditioning landscape at the collegiate professional level. And it was really fun for me to kind of help. But I was built by my strength and conditioning coach. He's Atlanta Falcons. He's amazing. And in the collegiate world, a lot of times the strength and conditioning staff are they're the most tasked staff on a Division I football program, because one, they have to make a good one. Will tell you they have to make an injury resistant athlete that's bigger, faster, stronger. Like, so one who's not good will say make bigger, faster, stronger athletes. The best ones will tell you how to make injury resistant athletes that are bigger, faster, and stronger while they're becoming increasingly injury resistant, right? But they're also the culture keepers, because they're around the athletes the whole year, right? But they also have to make major financial decisions about the training, technology, gear, and people they're entrusting their athletes to. And so helping those guys and gals make good decisions about the training, technology, gear, and people they're investing in is really a lot of fun. So we do a lot of RDT&E on gear, which you think about our guys. So, our guys that love working out, like, hey, test it, see if you can break it. Let me tell you what, the U5 Frogman, the U5 Devil Dog, the U4 Devil Dog can break anything. There's just not a thing. There's not a thing in the world like that. The EU3 can break a railroad tie and break a railroad spike. Never seen anything like it. It's the most amazing thing in the world, right? So it's just fun. It's fun to build businesses around these ideas that are articulated as a need by the people I want to be around, and then backfill it with amazing men and women that are coming out of the military. And then watch them discover this passion. Like, I remember when you discover this passion for what you're doing right now and meeting Sam Brown. And that's for me where it becomes really fun, where you start, like, I know if guys want to stay with me for a long time, that's great. Like, I win either way. Like, guys stay with me for a long time, or guys discover something they love, like Josh, like, look what Josh is doing. Like, Josh is a banker. If you and I would put a significant amount of money on the line in 2012 about whether Josh is going to become a banker or not, but he is, and he's amazing, and he's doing so well. And so for me, it's just like it's just fun. It's just really cool. And that ultimately, that I learned very quickly at the Naval Academy that the officer's job is to find work for the boys and then get out of their way and watch them do amazing things that they're uniquely capable for. And if you do it well enough, they'll let you blow stuff up every once in a while, right? Hey, can I knock that one down? Can I walk that one down?
It would be amazing to see. It would be amazing to put a roadmap together and to see how many people's lives you helped along the way since getting out of the service. It's insane. I mean, there's no way we'll be able to know, but every single person I talked to is like, they either did a stint at TRG or they ended up just coming to town, and then they're like, yeah, I'm already having a meeting with Clint. I'm like, you've been in town 2 minutes and Clint already knows you're here. Of course he does. This is like, it's just boom. It's awesome.
I think I think there's a gravitational element to it too. I'm just big.
Yeah.
It's like if you put a bowling ball in the middle of a trampoline, eventually everything's gonna, like, it just kind of, just physics, man.
We're gonna edit this video so that I look proportioned to you. Okay, I'm just gonna
listen. I can't back up really any further. This is as far as it goes.
Problem, if I get any closer to the screen, I won't change.
Yeah. Well, this is cool, man. I love this show. I love what you're doing. I like the PSA stuff. You know me. I love acronyms, and when you repurpose acronyms, it makes me happy.
Absolutely, bro.
So excited for you. Excited for your family. I love what you're doing now. I'm proud of all the people that have kind of been in this pipeline, and it's fun to watch. I mean, I was just up in Annapolis, I think a week and a half ago, and I was talking about the guys that had come through the Naval Academy program and the football program and what they're doing now. I mean, there's just very few of them that aren't making a meaningful, significant difference either on the battlefield or in the boardroom and university at the breakfast table. They're like you. I mean, the next generation of leaders that our friends are collectively raising. It's really fun. It's really exciting. And Sutton got sent to the penalty box yesterday. Like, in the first 5 minutes, it was awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm in love. That is amazing.
Yeah, and then we got mad at me again because I was excited about it. She's like, "You're not supposed to celebrate." And I'm like, "Well, it's the only part of this game I understand." So sorry.
Flip the script real quick on you. Give us a quick story on a brother you served with that either gave their life for this country or somebody who was a hero of yours while in service.
Shoot, man. I mean, that's really what Carry the Load was all about for me. Carry the Load was a way to share the stories of the guys I missed. Like for me, the calculus of Carry the Load was this: like my friends thought people were dying for, and I needed people, and they didn't even know them, and I needed people to miss my friends, even though they didn't know them. And I was just thinking the other day about Jason Lewis and Doug Zimbeck, and you've been down here in the office. We've got these portraits, and it seems like the further back we go, the more people forget. But I was thinking about Matt Shoops. Matt grew up. Matt was an aviator, as a fighter pilot. Grew up here in Garland, Texas. Went to Navy Forest. Matt played football at the Naval Academy, and his little brother Timmy was a kicker for us as well. And Matt was a really good special teams player. He'd have been on the field a lot more, but he played the same position as some really, really talented guys that we had. And so Matt just kind of took his role on the football team. He made everybody else better. But what Matt did, I think, was amazing. Him and a guy named Dan Kelly started this cover band called Skelly, and they would play in the show. It was amazing. They're incredible. And Matt was just this beautiful person, man, and supremely gifted and talented. His dad was career DPD, and I remember we lost him in a mid-air collision off the coast of California at Lemoore, and it was Stephen Holly and I were in a platoon together at the same time when it happened, and it was probably one of the first guys that we lost, because this was pre where we started losing a bunch of guys, and I just drove by Firewall Golf Course, and it's maybe I've been thinking about him for the last few days. So if you want to be encouraged a little bit, that's unfortunately for guys like us, that's a hard question to answer, because there's so many friends that we miss and we think about, obviously in our community in particular. But it's been a long time since we lost Matt, so I'd love for people to go back and look at guys like him, Ron Winchester and JP Blacksmith, and just members of the Navy Football Brotherhood that we lost, and obviously the team guys that we lost, and Jason Lewis, and we started stumbling in the team guy terrain, and there's just so many guys. You get nervous because you don't know who to talk about first, and you don't want to miss anybody. So there's just a lot of guys we miss in that world. So, and then Kenny Krucher, just lost Kenny, great Army veteran and firefighter, and hate those circumstances. So we got that, and honestly, Bird, man, that's one of the reasons we just got to use our time. Like, I have this incredible sense of urgency to use my time, because we were talking about Sloan before this, and time and tide wait for no man, so we got to use our time, and that's and we can use our time pulling. That's what I like. I hope no one can ever say about me that I use my time pulling someone down. Like, I hope my goal is I want people to say, like, Clint used his time pushing people up. Like, that is what I hope can be said about me. So,
already is being said about you, brother.
Good.
Well, we got Clint Bruce, the man, the myth, the legend, the silverback. You can check everything out, thetrg.co. You got Holdfast, Windage, and Carry the Load. We're going to put all the sites up here so you can check them out right after this.
Cool.
Brother, appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks, brother. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas. That was pretty good. See that? Like, what's up? What's up, North Park Santa? Coming for you.
You got a long way to go, brother.
I know. He's really good, man. I'll work on it.
Later, dude.
Later.